people are working, people are spending. How does that equate? Because they are a good barometer or proxy.
Buenos días, público. Bienvenidos a la sesión en vivo del día de hoy. Tenemos varias cosas observando. Ver, ya nos haltearon esta. Lo de hoy simplemente son nuevos aranceles, como dice el título. Tanto Estados Unidos como a Europa. No, tanto a México como a Europa les mandaron las cartas de que pues van a aplicar aranceles del 50, del 100, del 200. Ya saben cómo funciona esto. Don aranceles. Entonces, esa es la noticia del día de hoy. Estoy viendo todas estas empresas, en algunas ya coloqué posiciones. Tengo que regresar a PNM. PNM. No, esa no era. PMM. PMM. Aquí está. Punto 52. Genial. Ok. Básicamente tenemos el índice de media codicia. Chéquense esto. Lo tenemos en 77. 77, estábamos en 75, 76 el viernes, entonces miren, o sea, sigue la Extreme Grid. Al rato tengo que poner esto en un TikTok porque es importante. En las últimas sesiones de la bolsa hemos tenido una tendencia alcista en corto, es decir, que aquí terminamos con ganancias, aquí también, hasta el día de hoy. O sea, viernes, jueves, desde el miércoles estaban marcando tendencias a la baja, es decir, para hacer un corto. En el BXX, que es la volatilidad, es diferente porque pues se mueve, se comporta distinto. O sea, salta de golpe debido a las noticias. Como por ejemplo, pues ahorita los aranceles, saltó y ¡pum! O sea, mientras hay aranceles va a estar saltando. ¿Cuándo sería bueno vender? Cuando nuestra media móvil de 200 días toque aquí, 46.37. También, ojo, la volatilidad es mala. Entonces, también un indicador es que cuando toque la media móvil de 200 aquí, sí, y la rompa, si la llega a romper, puta, o sea, la volatilidad puede dispararse. ¿Hasta cuándo se va a disparar? Pues yo opino que hasta los $50, que sería su última media histórica. $48, sería 49 exactamente. Entonces, no hay nada de qué preocuparse. En caso de que comience a haber más debilidades, con que el índice de codicia baje, con que los índices estén a la baja, que por cierto, ¿dónde están mis índices? Están aquí. Vean. Vamos a actualizarlo. Ya estamos. Estaba viendo Mira. Ahorita lo checamos. Vean. Punto 3, punto 1, punto 24. El ganador del día, punto 24 con el Russell, le sigue el Nasdaq. Pero vean, o sea, la sesión está muy lenta, muy, muy mixta. Así que no hay mucho de qué tratar. Tesla está llamando la atención. Tesla se ha estado recuperando, vean. O sea, claro, desde los 2.93 puso una mega ganga. Listo para dejarlo a largo plazo. Y vean, o sea, amaneció en 3.22, pero se está manteniendo. Necesito un café. Se está manteniendo lateral, eso es bueno, porque se está consolidando el precio. Entonces ya saben, si se hubiera caído ya se hubiera caído o se hubiera alzado. El tema es que si se está consolidando, tiene chance de subir otro poco. Puede caer también, pero es mejor tener esta señal a que tener esta señal. Si tuviéramos esta señal es como de, olvídalo, déjalo para después. Pero tenemos esta señal, entonces algo está pasando ahí, por algo se está deteniendo. Como aquí, miren, aquí estuvo lateral y luego subió, lateral y luego bajó. Entonces Tesla es todo un personaje en las acciones. Pero bueno. mm, Listo. Por ahorita estoy vigilando esta porque hay una posición abierta. Y esta tal vez sea la del día. Solo porque se entró. Ay no, a minutos. Solo porque se entró aquí y ahorita se acaba de vender. Cuando la vela, antes de que tocara su media móvil de 10 días, ahí era. Ya si cruza la de 10 días y cruza el VWAP. Y no, o sea, todavía cruza la de 50 días, ya es corrección absoluta. O sea, ahora chequense esto, la de 200, el promedio de los 200 días ha estado cotizando entre 50, 350 y... Pues sí, 358. Ya tocó 350, entonces ya, o sea, prácticamente se acabó la acción aquí. Se acabó el movimiento, la emoción. Pero bueno, tengo que registrar toda la operación del día de hoy porque desde las 7:30 se empezó, o todos los días empieza a esa hora. Ya son 10:30, o sea, el tiempo se pasa en chinga de volada. Pero bien, ahí tengo que hacer varios papeleos, tengo que hacer varios registros, tengo que hacer muchas cosas. Y ya. Ajá, ok. Tengo que ver varias cosas. Pero listo. ¿Qué? Interesante. Pero bueno. Y también necesito otra pantalla. O sea, ya me harté, necesito otra pantalla al menos para estar viendo otro screener. Necesito otro screener a la mano. Y no me doy abasto. Entonces voy a ver qué hago. ¿O saben qué? A ver, espera. Tengo una idea, pero mientras voy a poner las noticias.
Buyback, the market cap's around 120 billion. That's meaningful. You can see upticks in investment banking and wealth management. And not that I'm saying this will happen tomorrow, but something to be on the lookout for is improvements with regulators. They are working under some consent orders, and maybe there's some light at the end of the tunnel that they'll talk about.
I got to give you one more. In the financial sector, watch the insurance companies. They had pricing power. They were performing well 6 to 12 months ago. Now they are all rolling over. They've lost their momentum, and the struggles are beginning. You're even beginning to see the revenue growth deteriorate.
All right, moving on. Coming up next, we have our calls of the day on 5 committee stocks. Halftime's back in just 2 minutes.
There's some things that work better together, like your workplace benefits and retirement savings. Voya helps you choose the right amounts without over or under investing, so you can feel confident in your financial choices.
Voya, well planned, well invested, well protected.
Siento que mi internet está lento, pero ¿por qué?
You found it then?
Of course I did. Good boy.
Never miss a moment.
We're running a very tight labor market right now. That means lower growth, but it also means the unemployment rate is less likely to spike up.
The substantial amount of deregulation that we're doing is going to accelerate economic growth. We're going to have economic growth in a non-inflationary manner.
Tax cuts help grow the economy. Extra borrowing harms the economy. In the short term, we'll see a boost in growth. Unfortunately, that will not be sustained.
Now is the time to fill your vault with Morgan Silver Bars. Grab your piece of America's silver legacy with this special offer. These spectacular shining silver bars featuring a crisp image of the iconic
point. Do you guys have the data that kind of backs up the mediocre response we've seen from some of these stocks?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good way of putting it. Sort of mediocre. I mean, when you look at PayPal, their bright spot is Venmo. I mean, that's the driver for them. They're dominating with the younger demographic. They're doing really well. 80% of peer-to-peer payments go through Venmo, so they're doing really well there. But people are starting to get, I guess they're less excited with Venmo, and they're starting to get, I guess, less excited or a little bit frustrated with PayPal, frankly. There's a lot of competition. And, we've seen that PayPal is definitely starting to drop off a little bit. We know that even some of the competition from, Square and Cash App, they're not doing that well. It's really more Apple Pay, Google Pay, and some of the more traditional ones, I guess you'd say, are the larger companies. Shopify obviously crushing it when it comes to point of sale. So it's a little bit of a, it depends on which market you're talking about. PayPal and Venmo are very different from each other, but PayPal and Shopify can definitely compete, and Shopify is just getting it done. I mean, they're putting on a seminar on how to dominate this market. So PayPal struggling, Venmo doing well, but starting to lose a little momentum itself also. So they've got, they've powered through their marketing when it comes to college partnerships, branded debit cards, influencers, all that kind of stuff. That's started to slow a little bit. And even though they've got 90 million users, they did 350 billion in volume this last year. and their users are better. They have 22% more disposable income than the average U.S. citizen. So it's a strong business, but it's starting to just kind of wane a little bit. And we're seeing that, again, Apple Pay, Google Pay, even Zelle, Cash App to some degree are all starting to like tick away at Venmo. I think PayPal, though, is the main concern in this company. Is that, we've seen that happiness has started to decrease. People are frustrated with the fees. They're frustrated with buyer protection policies that have been implemented. And just doing business with PayPal is frustrating for a lot of merchants. People are finding ways to go around it. They're doing the friends and family to get away from the fees, or they're just switching to Shopify or someone else. So, it's a tough business because you got so much competition. PayPal survived a lot longer than anyone thought. Back when they were tied in with eBay closely. Now that it's a completely different company, they're dominating peer-to-peer with Venmo. But on the merchant side, they're really starting to struggle, I think, and I think it's just going to get worse from here as Shopify continues its dominance.
Come on,
Landon. I mean, 3 firms upgraded this stock today, and TD Cowen upgraded not only PayPal but Block as well. But they have some good products, right? Venmo is now a verb. Even I'm 100, Landon, and I use Venmo every weekend for golfing and paying people back and forth. So Venmo is now in society. I mean, everyone uses Venmo one way or another. But how can they move that away and get that more monetized, get that to the forefront? Why isn't Venmo on a parallel with Visa and MasterCard and a debit card and all those things? They should be able to get it there. So they must be doing something right. I mean, the stock, the chart doesn't look great, but it's getting a bunch of upgrades today. What do you think that is, Landon? Do you have any background there? I mean, Venmo seems to be popular enough that they should be able to carry this company going forward. It doesn't seem like it's doing it yet, though.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about the business, though, I mean, I agree. Venmo is the bright spot. Like, that's what, if I was PayPal, I'd be bragging about Venmo. But when you think about, yes, peer-to-peer, they're dominating, absolutely dominating. But, peer to merchant or whatever you want to call it, all that's where that's the transaction volume. That's where you get the money. That's why Shopify is doing so well, Visa, MasterCard. That's why they're doing so well. You're able to take 1.9% plus 30 cents, whatever the number is, off of each one of these transactions. They're not taking anything when you pay your golf buddy, right? I mean, they're just holding your money. They collect some on the float. And maybe if you start using them to buy, then they can start taking from the merchant. But
están hablando de que PayPal está sufriendo este año. Al menos está 15% abajo.
It's fine. I mean, you got to
cuando Walmart está 7% arriba.
Fantastic job of doing that. Again, they
Nvidia
dominated peer-to-peer, and they're continuing to do well. It's starting to
Nvidia
slow
es de las
a
que
little
también
bit,
está
but
más
you're
arriba
also
ahorita.
flowing from the number one spot, so it's, take that with a grain of salt. But getting that transition from peer-to-peer over to merchants, I think that's the key, and that's what they've been trying to do. I mean, PayPal was initially, peer-to-peer and merchants, and now peer-to-peer has all gone over to Venmo, so now it's all merchants for PayPal. But they've got to translate those Venmo users into actual revenue, real revenue, by getting them to start using Venmo to pay merchants, and that's where they can get a lot more money. But that's a long stretch. I mean, when you think of Venmo, yeah, it's a verb, but do you think of Venmo when you go to the store, you're going to Venmo the store, you're going to use Venmo to pay? No. You think of, obviously, Visa, MasterCard, Apple Pay, all those, and the merchant thinks of Shopify, but they're not thinking of Venmo in that way. So yes, it is a huge bright spot, but I think the upside is on the merchant side, and that's where PayPal is struggling the most. And that's what all the data sees. All the data shows us is that's where they're struggling on the merchant side, and so that's why I'm a little bit concerned moving forward.
Also, on the concern front is the competition, right? Whether it's Apple Pay, whether it's these buy now, pay later, but stable coins, Landon. If you guys have any data that's a potential real headwind for these fintech companies, if firms start creating their own stable coins where they don't need these peer-to-peer middlemen at this point. And I know that PayPal has their own stable coin or they're developing it, but that's probably got to put some fear into maybe PayPal and Block and some of these other fintech companies, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'm a pretty big crypto bull.
Sí,
You
yo
guys
huele
know
café.
that. I'm still a little skeptical
Pero
on
ya
that
necesito
concept,
hacerme
so
mi
we'll
café
see.
mejor.
I don't think
Para
it's
matar
a
varios
huge
pájaros de
threat
un
right
tiro.
now. Maybe down the road, but yeah, I don't see that as a major threat. But you never know with what Bitcoin's doing lately.
Sí, necesito
You know,
una
crushing
taza
all-time
chida.
highs left and right. Maybe more of that, you know, is going to come into play. But no, I don't see that as a huge concern right now.
No real concern. All right, great stuff, great data. As always, Landon, appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, that's Landon Swan, co-founder of Likefolio, breaking down PayPal. And Kevin, we used to talk about that all the time. I mean, this stock was $310 at one time. It just feels like they're losing grip. And I remember the previous 2 quarters to their last one, they actually saw a decrease in number of users. I think it was 450 million. It went down to 420. And then kind of stabilized last quarter. New CEOs trying to make some changes. But how do you want to look at this one from an example trade?
Yeah, Tom, this is a company that the way this just got spelled out in our conversation, they've got to get consumer to merchant. There's the key for their future, Tom. But things are getting better there. 3 upgrades today. It was Seaport, TD Cowen, Goldman. All raised their numbers. Some of it's because the stock has rallied through some of their numbers. But all things considered, Tom, I'm not sure how to really trade this. The premiums are not big.
Yeah.
So what I looked at, Tom, is something in the cash secured put realm. They have earnings on the 29th of July, so I stayed ahead of that with the July 25th expiration. Selling the 71 put, Tom, for 65 cents. And that gives you daily decay. It allows you to extend duration at the end of the week, if it's, you know, or the end of the period as possible. These are not big premiums, Tom, on some of these names. So you do have risk down to 0. You would buy the stock if you sell it for 65 cents. You would buy it about 70.35 would be your entrance. And so, you know, if you look at the chart, the 50-day moving average is about 72 and change. So it's kind of holding above there, Tom. But like I said, it doesn't have earnings for a little while yet. Couple upgrades today. Maybe a cash secured put is a mildly safe way to do this, Tom.
Yep, neutral to bullish here. This is like one of those twofold trades that Kevin and I always talk about. It's got the risk profile of a covered call, right? But remember, PayPal doesn't pay a dividend on here. So using the cash secured put, same risk profile for this type of strategy. Going out to that July 25th weekly cycle here. So you've got 11 days only to expiration. And, you know, this is one of those strategies you can use over and over again. If you pick a level that you think the stock's going to stay above, you can sell out of the money puts with the hope that you just keep that credit that you collect on this. On this example, Kevin looked at selling the July 25th weekly options on the 71 strike put, collecting 65-cent credit. That's what you can make on this trade, $65 per put that you sell. Now, it takes your break even down to $70.35. If the stock does move below there, below the 71 strike, you get assigned on that short put. If you remain short that put into expiration, that's where your purchase price on the stock would be $70.35. That's about a 4.5% cushion to the current share price above 73.5 in PayPal. So you'd be buying the shares at a discount. Now, Kevin mentioned there's risk on this if for some reason the stock were to go to 0, but you got risk of just over $7,000 per put that you sell in case the stock did ever go to 0. Highly unlikely, but could be a possibility in the realm of possibilities. But a cash secured put where you either want to just keep the credit that you collect on this type of trade where you don't think it's going to go below 71, or if it does go below 71, you're willing to buy the shares if you stay short those puts at that $70.35 break even. But Kevin, real quick before I let you go, this is also you know, one of those strategies where, hey, if I put a $70.35 bid in to buy the stock, I might never get filled on that, right?
Yeah, exactly. If your intention is to buy PayPal at a lower price, or take out PayPal, put in any name you're thinking about. A cash secured put is one way to get paid until the stock gets down there, or it may never get down there, Tom, and you can continue to get paid by selling cash secured puts. And remember, I'm selling the 71 put. My entry is not 71, it's 70.35 if I sell it for 65 cents. So you're using your intention to buy the stock on the downside and using this put to pay you while you wait, Tom.
Yep. All right. Good description there on the short cash secured put there. If you either want to buy the shares or just keep that credit that you collect on that type of strategy if you think it's going to remain above a specific level. All right. Let's take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at Citigroup. Bank stock's up about 23% so far in 2025 into their earnings report tomorrow morning. We're talking Citigroup when we come back.
¿Cómo ven esta?
Trading at Schwab is now powered by Ameritrade, giving traders even more ways to sharpen their skills with tailored education. Get an expanding library filled with new online videos, webcasts, articles, courses, and more. All crafted just for traders. And with guided learning paths, stacked with content curated to fit your unique goals, you can spend less time searching and more time learning. Trade brilliantly with Schwab.
Si no, en una hora lo voy a intentar otra vez.
Welcome back to Fast Market here on the Schwab Network. Before we take a look at Citigroup into earnings, let's get a quick market update. Some